Hey everyone, welcome back to another StarCraft 2 weekend commentary. Today we're going to be continuing our StarCraft 2. This time I decided to pick something different. We're going to be having, of course, MVPDream on the bottom left corner as the red Terran player, and on the top right we're going to be having PartinG, of course, as the blue Protoss player. And other than that, I have been releasing a few more videos in terms of my KSP. It's pretty cool. I can't wait till the actual 0.19 update comes along, so that's going to be pretty nice. It'll finally bring in the resources, the whole resources, you can say, methodology, or the actual resources section into the actual game itself, so that'll be pretty cool, and that'll be pretty nice. Also, Time Warp, I did start actually continuing production in that, so hopefully by the end of next week I should have at least the pro version finished, so that'll be nice. And that's about it. Anyways, let's get back down to the game. Of course, Dream did wall it off with that just started up supply depot, which is pretty famous. He will get that SCV back down to it to continue that. And PartinG did scout out on the wrong corner himself, while MVPDream is going directly to the actual correct map itself. It does, I don't know, since the new update did start, I do have a feeling that it is a little bit more laggy than usual. So do bear in mind that it's going to be a little bit more laggy. We're going to have the second command center going up and online. And did he go for those gases? No, we just have that one gas, so he will probably be going... the Stalker, of course, is going to be chrono boosted up, and it's going to be going for that Nexus, I presume, right about now. And there goes the actual Nexus. So that sort of did give it away without having that gas up and running. He is probably going to go for that second Nexus as well. So pretty much both players on par in terms of the actual production build of what they have coming down. 2 barracks, so we are going to have, and that bunker, of course, which is really key to keep the Protoss person at bay, because remember, the Protoss do have a substantial advantage in the beginning of the game, especially with the Stalkers, in countering towards those Marines. This SCV is going to drop. Unfortunately, won't be able to scout it out. Did he actually spot that? Yeah, he did spot that second Nexus, so he knows. So that SCV did actually was worth his actual minerals, as he did die. He did spot that actual second Nexus, so MVPDream can be a little bit calmer and stay a little bit more focused, since he knows that actual PartinG did go for the second Nexus as well. So far so good for both the players. Everybody, as you do see, is heavily droning up so far. The actual supply depot is going to be dropped here, and he's going around, of course, as he does know that most probably PartinG has the actual Xel'Naga tower, which he does have. And that's why we have the Marine, of course, running around on the complete other side. He's going to be checking, I think, for that third base as well, and then probably moving down, and the Stalker should be able to pick that off. So far, of course, he's keeping a few units down here, just missing, of course, that Marine. That Marine is going to be hidden up here to make sure that he will know when that third base gets dropped down. So bunker, of course, is finished. Stim research is coming online, so we're going to have bio build, including that engineering bay, finally moving to the factory. So might be supported by Hellions. I'm not sure that's very effective in terms of dealing with Protoss, so we won't see, I think, Hellions being thrown into the play. We'll probably see sort of mech support with that being tanks and maybe a couple of Thors, but probably it's going to be a tank, bio, Marine Marauder mix with a couple of medevacs in play. Second bunker dropping down. He knows that the time is coming, that a push is going to be happening. We are on the 8-minute mark, and it's going to be a little bit late though. Here comes the push. The pylon is being dropped down, and the push is coming down. He does see that destructive debris isn't there, so he's not still on his third base, and here comes the push. A lot of actual sentries. Finally, the SCVs get pulled off the line. They do see that something is coming. SCVs being moved into the front. He really needs this bunker to finish. Loads it up, of course. A couple of force fields get placed down to prevent the SCVs from being able to repair the actual bunkers. A lot of probes. He does need to take down a supply depot and continue repairing, and he does manage to just keep that supply depot alive. Unbelievable micro by MVPDream. Again, finally being able to drop that. But unfortunately, he does have 2 bunkers, so there's no way he's going to be able to drop that, and 2 more bunkers, so 4 bunkers in total. Very nice play by PartinG, trying to prevent those SCVs from repairing and keeping him alive. So far, so good for MVPDream. He can breathe a sigh of relief, of course. He will spot this, of course, that destructible rock is going to be dropped down, so he's going to moving again the SCVs out, and gonna start, of course, the repairs and putting them into position so the actual force fields can't push anything far away. Now, very aggressive push by PartinG. Now, finally, the repairs are going to be starting. Again, the actual force fields prevent the actual SCVs from repairing that, and they're going to be continuing repairs now. Not enough force fields to deal with the actual second bunker, forcing him to retreat. There's nothing really much he can do upgoing against these bunkers. Again, more warpins coming into play. Finally, combat shield is going to be completed, giving him a little bit of that push. We do have no upgrades for him, and he's going to be moving down. Again, all the SCVs are going to be pushed into the play to prevent the actual push happening from SKTPartinG, and he should actually, I think, now be able to push back pretty aggressively, and Parting should retreat. This seems to be a very failed aggressive push, though, as MVPDream so far is pretty much being able to keep on par. He of course needs to keep his actual SCV production very high and running. So far he's not really producing those SCVs, as a lot of SCVs are dropping per every encounter, and here comes another encounter. These SCVs really need to be in place. Again, very nice placement by the actual supply depots, and the repairs should come. We're gonna of course see more force fields being placed down to prevent the actual repairs of the actual bunker itself. He's gonna be trying to make a little bit of damage. He's going to be of course going up the strength. This Marine is going to be giving that extra additional scouting, so he will know that the actual units are going to be coming from here. And finally, having a little bit of Marauder mix should be very effective in terms of dealing with Stalkers, and that is it for SKTPartinG. This is more than enough Marines to be able to push back this composition of Stalkers, and I do believe that the actual energy of the sentries is going down. So will he finally be able to retreat or not? He is of course continuing his production of Marauders, as it is a Stalker heavy build, and finally SKTPartinG says that's it. He's going to pack his shit and leave immediately, and that is it for the actual push by Parting. Not very effective for Parting at all. Even though MVP did lose, he is against supply block Parting due to that pylon being dropped, but really close. We can see units lost 26 to 17, but in terms of the units, we do know that the actual units for the actual Protoss player are substantially more expensive. So in a way, I do believe that they are very much equal, and he is of course going to be delaying the actual third base by the factory being placed down here. All he has to do is just lift it when he wants to actually place that down, and he is going to be moving for that third position. This factory is going to drop, and finally MVP is going to be countering that actual push, and we are going to be having a very nice push with those 1-1 upgrades so far, and still MVP a little bit behind in terms of the upgrade. So if he can push out right now, it would be very key. Maybe he can actually delay this actual base from building up. That would be perfect. The 1 upgrades should be completed now, giving him that advantage, additional damage, and so far SKTPartinG really has no choice but to retreat and run, hopefully hold off, get that time to get his Psionic Storm completed, and of course his 1 upgrades. And do we have those Dark Templar into play? Yes, so we're going to have a couple of Psionic Storms, very effective for that Marine Bioball. Are we going to be having a drop or not yet? Not really, but he should start the splits. He will not know that the Dark Templar is in play until he sees the actual Psionic Storm being dropped. So will he give it away? Here comes that drop on the actual main base. He's going to be moving down, spotting that. Of course, he's going to be retreating to his main base. A lot of damage is going to be done here, pulling his probes away a little bit too late. SKTPartinG finally, Psionic Storm does get dropped down. Of course, this gives off exactly what he has in play. I don't know why MVP doesn't split them up. We do have the Zealot Charge moving down. Again, the High Templar moving forward. Does a little bit of a split, not very effective in terms of the split itself. Very heavy damage here. If we do look at the actual units killed, it is 49 to actually 11, so not really such a big difference there, but so far he is able to keep on par, and these force fields of course are keeping SKTPartinG in the game so far. The composition for MVPDream so far so good. The upgrades are just about to get completed, so he really needs those upgrades to get online. So 1-1 upgrades, 2 upgrades coming in for MVPDream, so the Marines are finally going to have that additional 1 upgrade that they so desire. Again, I'm not sure. He is again substantially behind, so starting is going to be having that upgrade advantage very soon once that second upgrade, and a substantial great advantage. He's going to be having at least a 5-minute window of having a 2 upgrade without MVPDream having that 2 upgrade as well. So that would probably be the time to push out. Of course, the scan comes down. He should be able to spot that out, select the units, and see the actual upgrades they have. So far, it is on equal grounds, 1-1 upgrades, but he should keep an eye out in terms of the High Templar, and he will be creating those splits. Hopefully, they will be effective splits, but I don't see MVPDream being very good in microing his actual splits. A stim happens again, a split moves forward, and a 1 Psionic Storm here, as it does happen. Ironically, does manage to put down a lot of damage down, but with this amount of medevacs, it should hopefully keep those Marines properly healed up and alive. Now, the factory is going to be put down here. Just keep an eye out on both the actual bases and what is happening. And finally, push is going to be moving forward. He is of course going to be target firing these actual High Templar. Unfortunately, that wasn't very effective, and again forcing now MVPDream to be pretty much locked down on 3 bases. Of course, taking the advantage of that, moving on for his 4th base. We have a lot of units streaming across the map, so hopefully he'll be able to lock him down on his actual base. Ghost coming into play finally, and so far no mech upgrades at all. So he did use just that factory, of course, to switch, and he's going to be going in for these actual gateways. Very, very effective, of course, forcing SparTing to move down. So this is really calling for it, asking for it, not even calling for it, asking for it. SKTPartinG, I don't know why the hell he would actually move down his actual warp gates to such a point, though. So he should be actually pincered in. The question is, will he actually be able to deal with this? A Psionic Storm being placed down here would be very, very effective so far, but we don't have any High Templar, just one here. Unfortunately, misplaced that Psionic Storm, not very effective. Zealot Charge should be pretty much able to mop up the rest of this very, very effectively. So far, SKTPartinG did finally manage to catch up, did manage to drop everything. A drop, of course, is coming here, and SKTPartinG is going to be moving in a little bit more aggressively now. Finally, maybe, hopefully, he'll be dropping down to the actual production line so far. And here we do have finally the drop on the production line, and a little bit of aggression coming down from SKTPartinG, but realizing that he really can keep and hold the actual push here, he does decide to actual target fire these actual medevacs. So far, no units are being produced, not enough of units to hold back the actual Protoss ball that has managed to build up. And the production, let's take a look at the actual production. We only have 7 barracks, including that actual Ghost, which is, of course, we do have that research as well. Sentry is going to be retreating, and a very heavy Protoss ball is going to be moving down to deal with MVPDream. The composition of MVPDream doesn't look at all positive. This actual 4th base is going to be dropped very, very quickly. Even though he is trying to morph in the actual planetary, I don't believe he has enough time to deal with that planetary. He should cancel it and lift it up as soon as possible. Will he do that, though? Yes, he does cancel it, does lift it up, but the Archons should be able to hopefully pick that off. He could have picked that off, though. Of course, the mules are going to be repairing that to keep it alive as much as possible. He doesn't want to drop that at all. He could, of course, load up these units and move them back down. So far, he still does have a free scouting point between SKTPartinG's base, so nothing much is happening. 3-3 upgrades, of course, coming down for MVPDream. Upgrade wise, he did finally manage to catch up. Upgrades did stop for SKTPartinG, so he is going to be having an upgrade, an advantage on the actual upgrades. He's going to be continuing his actual push to expand, and we do have a couple of zealots, of course, scouting out in case there are any expansions, and we do have that hidden ninja expansion by SKTPartinG being placed down on the top left. So far, so nice. Finally, he's going to be getting in a couple of Vikings, feeling that there might be a Colossus into play again, including that air weapons upgrade level 1 as well, and a couple of missile turrets to keep those observers at bay. So this is really moving on to be a mid-end game so far. The factory is going to be moving across the map, of course, to make any scouting and blocking off that actual expansion. So he's going to be moving back down. There's nothing really much he can do except just delay that. What he does know that there is that hidden expansion, and he already does sense that something might be happening. So we are going to be having that actual push, and he will spot that out. So he knows that there is an expansion here. A couple of these zealots should be really easily able to deal with that very, very effectively. A lot of ghosts as well, providing support, and including those upgrades. The upgrades are actually finished, I think, so he will be able to cloak those, and the observer here should be able to see that, spots that, scans it, takes it out. So forcing SKTPartinG, not knowing the actual positions and movements of his actual very, very effective heavy bio ball, that'll prove to be very, very efficient in terms of dealing with that. Only 2 Marines are going to be moved down. They should easily, hopefully, be able to take care of these actual Archons, Archon being morphed now, and this should actually maybe drop before it finishes. So a waste of Archon does get dropped. We do, of course, have that sensor tower. That should give, of course, a heads up for MVPDream to be able to make sure in case any push does come down by SKTPartinG. So far, so good. A push is finally coming. SKTPartinG is going to be moving down, unfortunately, I think out of place, but he does have a hunch that he's actually moving down, as he does have that Xel'Naga Tower scout there, and he should be able to push this back. Very, very heavy bio build here for MVPDream. 3 upgrades are completed, and now is the time to push out, since he does scan and he does see that those units are on 2-2 upgrades, and his composition should be more than enough to deal with that. The question is, will he be able to split as effectively as possible? Not enough Dark Templars, though, on the actual play itself, so we finally have 2 Dark Templars in play and 1 High Templar. So Dark Templars are going to be thrown into the mix, though. Will he be able to spot that the Dark Templars are there? That is the question. Of course, that's going to be dropped very fast. Maybe Raven into play. A couple of towers would be useful to spot those Dark Templars from moving in. I think that the Zealots should easily drop very, very effectively, so that is at the end of those Zealots. This will of course force them to push back and move away from the Zolnaga Tower. MVPDream retreating, trying to keep his actual scan, I think, is going to be placed down here, and another scan gets thrown down, and I think that is the end of that Dark Templar harass. Very effective one though, I might add. Unfortunately, that actual missile tower was placed down on the wrong position. Finally knowing that there is going to be Dark Templar play, a lot of force fields placed down. SKTPartinG pretty much gives away that he knows he can't go up against such a heavy bio build by MVPDream. We do have nearly maxed out. A lot of feedback is being dropped down by those. Again, a push is coming, a drop of a scan is coming to make sure that there are no Psionic Storm, of course, with that High Templar being followed up. A lot of Psionic Storm being dropped down. Not really enough energy. He can't continue pushing forward and being able to mop that up. He should split. Unfortunately, Psionic Storm hits very nicely. Not enough. Not a very well-placed split, forcing him to actually move back. Finally moving a little bit more aggressive. Targeting, firing down that High Templar. Should be able to easily mop up this actual unit composition being warped down. And that is the end of SKTPartinG. SKTPartinG, even though he might have an advantage with that ninja expansion on the side, even though he was still spotted, but this is it. A lot of heavy damage is being placed down here. Scan, of course, gets dropped to take care of any actual cloaked units, and we do have a lot of High Templars throwing down a lot of actual Psionic Storms, and that is it. Good game. SKTPartinG calls it a GG, and this is it for this game between SKTPartinG and MVPDream. Very, very nice play between both the players, and the actual heavy bio build and a backup by MVPDream's Ghosts did prove to be very, very effective for SKTPartinG's composition. As always, happy gaming. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you guys next time. Bye.